Habib Umar bin Umair Shatiri, his lineage. He is Al-Imam Shaykh al-Islam al-Habib Abdullah bin Umar bin Ahmad bin Umar bin Ahmad bin Umar bin Ahmad bin Ali bin Hussein bin Muhammad bin Ahmad bin Umar bin Alawi al-Shatiri bin Ali bin Ahmad bin Muhammad Asarullah bin Hassan al-Turabi bin Ali bin al-Faqih al-Muqaddam Muhammad bin Ali bin Muhammad Sahib Mirbat bin Ali Kali Qasim bin Alawi bin Muhammad Sahib Ali Soma'ah bin Alawi bin Ubaidullah bin Al-Imam bin Muhajir Ilallah Ahmad bin Isa bin Muhammad Al-Niqab bin Ali Al-Uraidi bin Jafar Al-Sadiq bin Muhammad Al-Bakir bin Ali Zain Al-Abidin bin Hussein Al-Sibt bin Ali bin Abi Talib and Fatima al-Zahra, the daughter of Master Muhammad, the seal of the Prophet.
Did you read the biography already? He was the founder of the Riba. Not the founder, but the principal of the Riba. I'll show you over here now. We read this already. Habib Alawi bin Shaykh.
Habib Alawi bin Shahib, his lineage. He is Habib Alawi bin Abdullah bin Aidarus bin Muhammad bin Ali bin Abdullah bin Aidarus bin Ali bin Muhammad bin Shihab bin Al-Din Ahmad bin Shaykh Abdurragmaan bin Shaykh Ali bin Shaykh Abu Bakr al-Sakhran bin Shaykh Abdurrahman al-Saqaf bin Shaykh Muhammad Mawla al-Tawila bin Ali Mawla al-Tarak bin Alawi al-Khayyur bin al-Faqih al-Muqaddam Muhammad bin Ali bin Muhammad Sahib Mirbat bin Ali Khala Qasam bin Alawi bin Muhammad Sahib al-Sawma'ah bin Alawi bin Ubaidullah bin al-Imam al-Muhajir Ilallah Ahmad bin Isa bin Muhammad al-Naqib bin Ali al-Uraidi bin Jafar al-Sadiq bin Muhammad al-Bakir bin Ali Zain al-Abidin bin Hussein al-Shibat bin Ali bin Abi Talib and Fatima al-Zahra, the daughter of our Master Muhammad, the seal of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His mother was Sayyida Fatima bint Muhammad bin Umar al-Faqih. His life. Habib Alawi was born in Tarim in 1303, 1886. His father, the scholar and caller to Allah, Habib Abdullah, left Tarim before Habib Alawi's birth and traveled to Jaffa, where he was to spend the rest of his days. He oversaw Habib Alawi's education from a distance and would write to him, counsel him, and send him financial support. It was thus his noble mother, Sayyida Fatima, who raised him, keen that he had attained a large portion of the blessings of Tarim. She would take him to the city's sacred places and to the pious people of the time for them to pray for him and read over him. As a young boy, he suffered severe stomach pain for a period of time which no one was able to cure. However, when the great Imam Habib Aidarus bin Umar bin Habashi visited Tarim, Habib Alawi's uncle took him to him. Habib Aidarus read over him for a long time and then informed his uncle that the boy had eaten food which had the evil eye upon it. He prescribed him a remedy and said that he would recover with Allah's permission. Then he turned to those around him and said, I only come to Tarim on this occasion for the sake of this boy. Habib Alawi learned the foundational sciences under the supervision of his uncle, Habib Muhammad bin Aidarus. Muhammad would take him to the lessons of Habib Abdurragmaan bin Muhammad al-Mashhur, the Mufti of Hadr al-Maut, and Habib Alawi's heart very quickly became attached to this great scholar. He started attending all of Habib Abdul Rahman's lessons and rarely left his company. Habib Abdul Rahman gave him a lot of attention and would treat him like one of his sons.
The name is Abdurrahman, not Abdurrahman. That's the Latin I get, but you say Abdurrahman.
One of the students that attended the Rawha once told Habib Alawi that he would benefit since he was busy preparing the coffee while others were receiving.
You step to that. Habib Abdurrahman gave him a lot of attention and would treat him like one of his sons.
He instructed him to prepare the coffee that was served at his Rawha. One of the students that attended the Rawha once told Habib Alawi that he would never benefit since he was busy preparing the coffee while others were receiving knowledge. As a result, he stopped preparing the coffee until Habib Abdurrahman noticed and told him to continue preparing it. He said to him, "My hope in Allah is that you will attain a higher station than all your contemporaries." Among his many teachers were Habib Ali al-Abashi, Ahmed bin Hassan al-Attas, Habib Alawi bin Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr al-Mashhur, Habib Ali bin Abdurrahman bin Muhammad al-Mashhur, and Shaykh Ahmed bin Abdullah Bakri al-Khatib. He also studied at the hands of Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri and then taught alongside him at the Ribat. Habib Abdullah thought very highly of Habib Alawi and would thank Allah for his existence in the time in which he lived. Habib Alawi first started according to Allah openly in 1330 when one of his teachers.
Was he born?
1330.
Born in 1330 and he was born in 1303. 27 years old. Right?
Habib Hussein bin Ahmed al-Kaf asked him to take his place and preside over the Mawlid gathering that he held every Thursday night in Masjid al-Zahir. Habib Alawi at first refused, but when Habib Hussein insisted, he presided over the gathering and spoke to those attending. His words had such a profound effect that Habib Hussein insisted that he continue to preside over the gathering, which Habib Alawi did until the end of his life, which was the demand for people to hear his speeches that he was asked to establish another Mawlid gathering on Monday night. He duly established the gathering.
He duly
established the gathering in Masjid Ba Harun, but when so many people began to attend that there was no longer space in the mosque, he moved it to Masjid Surur. Everyone that attended attested to the awe-inspiring nature of these gatherings and the tranquility that would descend in them. Habib Alawi would be so spiritually saturated on the night of these mawlids that he would not be able to eat anything after them.
Allah.
He also had a daily roja in Masjid Surur and a twice weekly lesson in the Sawiya of his ancestor Shaykh Ali bin Abu Bakr al-Sakran, which many people attended. He presided over the madras of the Ribat during the absence of Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri and continued to do so after his death. He followed in the footsteps of Habib Abdullah, ensuring that everyone would benefit from his words and not just those who had studied the Islamic sciences in depth. While benefiting the people of Tarim with his knowledge, he was keen to fulfill his social duties towards them, especially the Ahl al-Bayt. He would thus attend wedding banquets, preside over marriage contracts, and lead the funeral prayer. He displayed mercy in all his dealings and would give sincere advice to rulers and ordinary people alike. He would counsel the most stubborn of people in a firm and gentle way without raising his voice. The rest of his time was spent in a worship and remembrance of Allah. His day would begin long before dawn with prayer and recitation of the Quran in Masjid Surur. He was fully focused on his Lord, and this would raise the spiritual aspiration of those around him. So consistent was he in spending of the time between Maghrib and Isha in worship that he said that if doing so had been compulsory, his worship would not have increased in any way. He had an immense connection to the Book of Allah and would recite it consistently. During his speeches, he would cite a great number of Quranic verses as if the book was open in front of him. He said, "I have no worries and anxiety. I have the Quran and Imam al-Haddad's book."
Tathbeet al-Fu'ad.
Tathbeet al-Fu'ad.
He would always attend the Hadra of Shaykh Abdurragmaan al-Saqaf. At times he would go straight from the Hadra to the Zambal graveyard and only return close to the time of Fajr. He was scrupulous in his dealings, frugal in his way of living, and lived parts of his life in poverty. He had no interest in worldly luxuries, but he loved for his appearance to be beautiful. He slept a little and ate a little. When his wife died, he chose not to remarry and lived a single life for many years. He had the utmost veneration for the city of Tarim and its inhabitants. He spent his whole life in Tarim and its outskirts, only leaving the city to attend the visit of Nabi Hud alayhi salatu wasalam once or twice in his youth. This was out of his desire to die and be buried in Tarim and to fully serve its inhabitants. He said that he had vowed to seclude himself in Tarim. He never once rode a horse or rode in a car in the city. At times he would be invited to someone's house on the outskirts of Tarim, and when people offered to take him in their cars, he would politely refuse. They would pass him walking along the road and then find that he reached his destination before them. People would try to walk alongside him, and although he was walking effortlessly, they would be unable to keep pace with him. This is how the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked. He was severe in castigating the people of Tarim, especially the Ahlul Bayt, for abandoning the traditions of their predecessors. When newspapers first started to appear, he rebuked people for reading them and ignoring the Quran. He thanked Allah that he had never read a newspaper and never once entered any of the new schools that emerged in his time with Western-style curriculums. His talks would be full of the stories of the great Alawi Imams who were his predecessors. He said that when he mentioned them, he became satiated, and that if he wished, he could carry on talking about them and would not need to eat for days. Even in his public speeches, he would speak in the dialect of Tarim, and this had more effect on those listening. Like many of his predecessors, he disliked eloquence that was forced and unnatural. We are fortunate that his students wrote down some of his words. Habib Muhammad bin Salim bin Hafiz's collection reached 7 volumes. Habib Umar bin Alawi al-Kaf also gathered some of his speeches, which can be found in his beautiful biography of Habib Alawi, Tuhfatul Ahbab. Perhaps Habib Alawi's best student was his beloved son, Habib Muhammad. He placed all his concerns in raising and nurturing him until he emerged as a great Imam in his own right. Habib Alawi said, "My son Muhammad's spiritual state is greater than my state. He receives spiritual assistance directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam without any intermediary. Habib Alawi could not bear to apart from his son and would hardly allow him to leave his side. With great difficulty, he would allow him to attend the annual visit of Nabi Hud alayhi salatu wasalam and the howl of his Shaykh, Habib Ali al-Habshi. He did not give him permission to perform Hajj while he was still alive, but told him that he would perform it after his death, which he duly did." Continue. But read a bit faster and in the mic, Mawla.
He had immense insight and future events were unveiled to him. He said, "You people have radios which inform you of things which make you despair, whereas I have my own radio which never changes."
Allah.
He had the ability to perceive people's true intentions. His presence was so awe-inspiring that people were ashamed to disobey Allah during his time in Tarim. He informed people of the tribulations that were to befall Hadramaut and other parts of the Islamic world, and consequently counseled people to repent and return to Allah. It was as if his existence was preventing these things happening, and it was only after his death that they occurred. Few could disagree that he was the Imam of Tarim and Hadramaut in his time. His death. For the last years of his life, Habib Alawi remained in his house. He gradually stopped speaking, not of a loss of intellect or dumbness, but rather due to his spiritual state. His health gradually declined until he finally passed away on the morning of 12th Ramadan, 1966. He died with his head resting on the thigh of his son, Habib Muhammad. His death was the biggest blow that the people of Tarim had experienced for decades. The following day, a vast procession accompanied him to the Jabana. Before the funeral prayer, Habib Muhammad spoke to a crowd overcome with emotion, mentioning some of Habib Alawi's prophetic qualities. He recalled his father's statement, "I do not do anything without first taking permission from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the pious predecessors." After Habib Muhammad al-Mahdi bin Abdullah al-Shaltiri spoke, Habib Muhammad led the prayer of his father. Habib Alawi was then carried to his final resting place in Zanbal, not far from the grave of his ancestor Shaykh Ali. He was placed in his grave at his request by Habib Abu Bakr al-Attas al-Habshi. Habib Muhammad soon emerged as his father's successor, presiding over the gatherings that his father presided over. His son, Habib Abdullah, may Allah preserve him, to this day continues the work of his father and grandfather.
Rahimahullah. Habib Abdullah also passed away now. Tamam, so we heard the biography of Habib Alawi bin Shihab. There's a lot of important lessons to be taken from almost every paragraph that comes in this biography. However, I prefer to have the reader read until the end of the biography and then try to capture certain aspects and moments of the life of this great scholar. Because my concern is that once we start commenting on paragraph or every page, that we won't actually complete the biography. Alright, even though initially when we started the reading of the Imams of the Valley, we used to try to do 2 books in one period. We used to read the Imams with Book of Assistance, or the Imams with the Shamail of Imam Tirmidhi. And these days we're only managing to cover one text in each period. Ala kulli hal, if you want to know Habib Alawi bin Shihab, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was the Habib that said, and this must be understood in a particular context and with a certain understanding before you find those people who have hearts that cannot believe the greatness of the awliya of Allah saying what they wish to say. But Habib Alawi used to say that whoever looks at my face will enter Jannah. Meaning, learns and benefits and lives a life of deen and obeys Allah's commandments. So a gaze that actually has that drives one to be an obedient slave, that executes Allah's commandments, that abstains from His prohibitions, that lives a life of khair. And so when these utterances and statements are made by the Salihin, they come bitaqhidat that should be read and understood into the kalam and statements. Ala kulli Habib Alawi bin Shihab. And Habib Alawi, you heard now that he had a son. What was his son's name? Habib Muhammad. Habib Muhammad bin Alawi bin Shihab, the son of the author, the person whose biography you are reading through, was one of the most, if not the most, senior Shaykh of our Shaykh Sayyid al-Habib Umar. In fact, after the passing of Habib Umar's father, many of you know that his father was abducted and killed. After the passing of his father, Habib Muhammad bin Alawi, the son of the Sahib al-Tarjama, he became like a father to Habib Umar. Habib Umar had 2 persons in his life that took the role of his father. his elder brother, Habib Ali Mashhur on the one hand, and on the other hand, the son of the author, of the Sahib al-Tarjama, the son of Habib Alawi, whose name was Muhammad, Habib Muhammad bin Alawi bin Shahab. And you heard Habib Alawi said of his son that my son's spiritual state is greater than my state. So he was Habib Umar Shaykh. He said he was born in 1303. It's amazing. Look at his father, right? His father, Abdullah, before he was born, traveled to Indonesia to do da'wah. And then his father spent the rest of his life in Indonesia without coming home. Right? But he oversaw his son's activity from Indonesia. So he would write. Today, overseeing has become so easy. You can do video calls. He used to write to his son on a regular basis, making his tarbiyah through his writings. And he used to take care of his nafaqah. So even though his father wasn't present in his life, his father was constantly checking up and following his progress and directing his family. And that in itself is an amazing dars, right? Our father can be absent and yet the father can give directives. And the father can still fulfill his financial responsibility. And the father can still be making the tarbiyah of his child even though he's in a different country altogether. And then it also shows you what role his mother had to play. His mother, Sayyidah Fatima, she was the one that nurtured him to become the great Habib Alawi that he was. And sometimes the role of mothers are too often ignored. Al-Ummu Madrasa. The mother is your first school. Al-Ummu Madrasa. They say, who knows? Everybody knows Habib Kadhim, right? Habib Musa al-Kadhim. Habib Kadhim's father, Habib Ja'far. Habib Ja'far is almost 100 years old. If he hasn't gone past 100 already. Hey? Sorry? 99. Yes. Habib Ismail says 99 years old. And he had many wives. And he has many children. All his wives are from the Ahlul Bayt. Generally, the Sayyida, they only marry from the Ahlul Bayt. It's very rare when you find a Sayyid marrying a lady that is not from the Ahlul Bayt. In fact, if it's your first wife, then it's like really frowned upon for you to, for a Sayyid from the Ahlul Bayt to marry a lady that is not from the Ahlul Bayt is frowned upon. And for a lady from the Ahlul Bayt, you'll never find him marrying a lady from the Ahlul Bayt to a man that is not from the Ahlul Bayt. Right? So, Habib Ja'far, Habib Kadhim's father, he had many wives. One of his wives was the mother of Habib Kadhim. But Habib Kadhim's mother, she was not from the Ahlul Bayt. So since she was not from the Ahlul Bayt, there wasn't great expectations from the children that Habib Ja'far had with her. And there were some expectations from the children that he had from his other wives. But the mother of Habib Kadhim was such a great wali of Allah, so determined in raising a child, in giving him tarbiyah, in giving him ilm, in giving him knowledge, in giving him the best of upbringings. Her son, which is Habib Kadhim, became the best of all of Habib Ja'far's children. Today, Habib Ja'far, of all the sons that he have, the son that he is the closest with and he brags about the most is Habib Kadhim. And the effort comes from who? From the mother. So here you can see the mother of Habib Alawi. She raised him in such a way that he became the great wali of Allah that he was. He became agreed upon in his time that he is the Imam of Tarim. And that doesn't happen very easily in a city such as Tarim. When you're in a city where there are many great ulama and many great scholars and many great salihin and many great awliya, to be recognized as the Imam of the city is not an easy feat. And Habib Alawi was recognized as the Imam of the city of Tarim. He met Habib Aidarus bin Umar al-Habshi. Who knows who Habib Aidarus bin Umar al-Habshi is? Shaykh, you know Habib Aidarus? Who is he? Hey? Habib Aidarus bin Muhammad al-Habshi. Bin Umar al-Habshi. The Musnid. So the Musnid, so in the among the Sa'd al-Ba'alawi, the Habib that really had a great i'tina of compiling and preserving asanid to various turuq Sufiya, to the books of Hadith, Bukhari and Muslim, and to Awrad and Adhkar and the books of fiqh, chains of transmission that students have become very focused on in these days. So the scholar that focused on the compilation of the asanid of the Ahlul Bayt was Habib Aidarus bin Umar al-Habshi. We have his thabat in the library. What's it called? What's it called now? Bismillah. The name's gonna come to me and I'll share it with you. He came to Tarim at a time when Habib Alawi, whose biography we were reading, was very ill. He had a stomach ailment. And when Habib Aidarus came to him, Habib recited over him and said that he has been afflicted with ain, evil eye. And he said, recited over him and he said that his problems will disappear. And he said the only reason why he entered Tarim was to actually treat this child. That was the real reason why he came. People saw him coming, he came to narrate hadith and teach and da'wah, etc. But he said the actual reason why Allah brought him to the city now was to heal, to recite over Habib Alawi, so that Allah could give him shifa from evil eye. He was a student of the Mufti of Tarim, Habib Abdurragmaan bin Muhammad al-Mashhur. He has a beautiful story. Habib Abdurragmaan, the Mufti now, gave a lot of attention to Habib Alawi. Now it's important that you try to, because a lot of names thrown at you. So you must try to focus. For the very least, you must know that Habib Alawi bin Shihab, Habib Alawi bin Abdullah bin Shihab, is the person whose biography we are reading through now. Right? So his teacher showed a lot of love for him and treated him like a son. This is like a very important point for certain people in our Jama'ah. Yeah. This is a good point for Junaid, for Noor, for Muhammad Isaacs, for Hamza and Ahmad Kah. I don't even know what they all for Shaykh Shafi also what they have in common, but you're going to see now what they have in common. So he treated him like his son. And he told him, instructed him to prepare the coffee that was served at his roha. Right? So Habib Alawi used to go and prepare coffee. So another student told him, you know, every roha you preparing coffee, you're going to benefit nothing from Habib Abdurragmaan, the teacher. So what Habib Alawi then did was he said, you know, what you're saying makes sense. I'm not, but in a general sense, it applies to khidmah. In a general sense, anyone who makes khidmah misses out on the program. So the person said, you're going to benefit nothing. So what he then did was he stopped making the coffee and he came to attend the roha. So when Habib Abdurragmaan noticed him in the roha and that he's not preparing the coffee, he said to him that, why are you not making the coffee? So he said, because I want to be in the roha. So Habib said to him, my hope in Allah is that you will attain a higher station than all of your contemporaries by serving him, even though you're not present in the roha. Allahu Akbar. From his teachers was Habib Ali al-Habshi. You should know Habib Ali al-Habshi because we read his biography some time ago. Habib Ali al-Habshi was also the Shaykh of whom I connected Habib Ali al-Habshi to our community here in Cape Town. One of the karamats in Cape Town was a student of Habib Ali al-Habshi. Who was it? Abi Muhsin Aidarus, huh? Mawbray was a student of Habib al-Habshi. So you can see now that Habib Alawi and Habib Muhsin would have been contemporaries. Habib Alawi probably a bit older or younger, and Allah knows best. No. And he was also a student of Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri. The last biography we read was from Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri. No. He started calling to Allah in the year 1330. At the age of 27, he started actively engaging in da'wah ila Allah. Now, you may ask yourself, how is it that such a great scholar who grows up in Ireland, why is he only starting to do da'wah at the age of 27? Right? Today we have young men, 16, 17, 18, 19, already starting to give Jum'ahs and starting to prepare beautiful lectures and talks, and 20-year-olds are starting their own classes of knowledge. And why is Habib Alawi only 27 years old in Islam? Right? Because he would have been engaging in da'wah in a smaller scale. But the days of studying are days of studying. The days of talab are days of talab. Many a person these days barely studied, but they want to already start teaching. They already start engaging in da'wah almost on a full scale, when da'wah should be something which is very much secondary to you while you study. When you are studying, what must your focus be? Study. Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jailani, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he met with his teacher in Baghdad, in Iraq, he continued studying for more than 20 years before his teacher gave him one dars to teach. More than 20 years before his teacher gave him one dars to teach. And then also, what happens with many of us is that once I start engaging in da'wah full time, I imagine that my days of studying has come to an end, which is all very problematic. When Habib Alawi starts fully fledged da'wah at the age of 27 in 1330, he's still attending a lot of classes at the same time. A lot of classes at the same time. You're going to see here now, eventually what happens is, they spoke about the madras in the Ribat of Tarim. At the bottom of 115, we also had a daily rawha in Masjid al-Surur, and a twice weekly lesson in the Zawi of his ancestors, Shaykh Ali bin Abu Bakr al-Sakran, which many people attended. He presided over the madras of the Ribat during the absence of Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri, and continued to do so after his death. The madras in the Ribat of Tarim is a class that happens twice a week. It's almost like a twice weekly rawha that was created by some of the Salaf. And in his time, the person that resided over this madras was Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatiri. What then happened was, I don't know, he continued so after his death. Then Habib Alawi became the teacher at the madras, this twice weekly rawha. And then I don't know who, but eventually Habib Salim al-Shatiri, Sultan al-Ulama, that many of you may have met, he started teaching the madras in the Ribat of Tarim. The madras in the Ribat of Tarim is so it's a very traditional class that has been taking place for years, established by the Salaf. So the class in itself has many asrar, has lots of barakah, has lots of asrar. This is something that we don't have within our community. Therefore, the rawhas and the gatherings that we are starting within our community, whether it's myself or Shaykh Muhammad, whoever the case may be, the objective is that these gatherings should be upheld and maintained, and it should continue. I now forget who established the madras, but I read it or heard it already, I just forget who it is. But one of the very senior habaib many years ago established the madras. And the scholars that came thereafter, they attached great importance to the madras, this bi-weekly lesson that takes place in the Ribat. Habib Salim's time, he used to have 6 books that used to be read during the madras, one after the other, and he would teach. The madras was the class, which ties into the point that I'm making now, is that even when you start fully fledged da'wah, it doesn't mean your learning stops. So Habib Umar used to attend the madras of Habib Salim al-Shatiri all his life. Right? Habib Umar, the madras used to happen after Fajr, if I'm not mistaken. Used to happen after Fajr, twice a week. Habib Umar used to have his own dars in Dar Mustafa. In his dars in Dar Mustafa, you would have 1,000+ students. And then he would shorten his dars on the days of the madras, and then he would go to the madras of Habib Salim al-Shatiri to sit as a student in his class. And Habib Salim al-Shatri was one of the teachers of Habib Umar. If you must have seen him in the photo, he was like a very mateen, strong person. Almost like Abdullah. And Ajib, he was a giant of knowledge. A giant. Like you can't imagine. You can't imagine. I attended like a few of the programs of Habib Salim al-Shatiri. And I attended some of his classes in the Ribad. I visited him in his home. We received the ijazah in his home. He signed the ijazah for us. And I attended a wedding with Habib Salim al-Shatiri in Abu Dhabi once. Alright? Even at the wedding, telling you stories, light-hearted stories relating to nikah. He narrated something like 20 stories. And then he said the time is on. And then he said, but you know, I have so many jokes to tell you about nikah that I can continue till Fajr. He was an encyclopedia. It's just like books are open up in front of him and he just quotes and he quotes and he quotes and it doesn't end. Like if I must try to quote to you some stories on any particular topic, I'm going to end up relating to you 100 things that you may have heard already, or you may have heard me share already. They just draw. Encyclopedic knowledge. So Habib Umar used to attend the madras. And when Habib Umar used to attend the madras, he used to sit, Habib Salim used to conduct the dars, and Habib Umar used to sit in front of the class as a student. The big Habib that has hundreds of thousands, right, of followers and murids around the globe, sit like a student in the dars. Until Habib Salim al-Shatri eventually passed away. Today, what's his name now? Habib Sayyid, I think it's Sayyid Abu Bakr Balfaqi, resides over the madras. And Habib Umar still attends. This person that resides over the madras today is younger than Habib Umar. Habib Umar is older than him. But the madras itself, this bi-weekly dars that takes place within the Ribal, is so blessed, has so many asrar, Habib still attends. The difference now is that Habib Umar sits next to the person conducting the dars, while the person conducts the dars. Unlike in the time of Habib Salim, he used to sit in the front. Now he sits next to the, And the person, of course, that Abu Bakr that conducts the dars has lots of reverence and love and esteem for Sayyid Habib Umar. But it's become his duty. So Habib Alawi used to attend the madras of Habib Abdullah bin Umar al-Shatri, and after he passed on, the affairs of the madrasa, those classes, the responsibility was handed over to him and he continued those classes. Ajib. So imagine if from practically birth he is studying and increasing in ilm and knowledge. How much knowledge does he have by the age of 27 when he actively engages in da'wah ila Allah? So our mashayikh, our mashayikh, the Saad al-Ba'alawi, they don't tell you that you're a student, don't engage in da'wah. They say, no, engage in da'wah, start teaching, do a lecture here, do a lecture there. But know who you are. Know what you are. I can't be an ibtida'i student and then I think, mashallah, people must listen to me, I gave such a beautiful talk, I did this, I did that. When I'm an ibtida'i student, my understanding must be, I'm only an ibtida'i, I still have so much to study. Right? But as ibtida'i is called saf awal. I'm still in saf awal. When I'm in saf thani, I'm still in saf thani. When I'm thalith, rabi', khamis, there's so much for me still to study. Even the day I graduate from a madrasa, we are only studied for 6 years. And what do I know? How do I consider myself anyone or anything? I'm just touching surface now. Right? So studying is something must continue all the time. One of the things, there's a lot of things about our students at the madrasa and the classes that makes me very happy. But there's also things that saddens me. And one of the things that saddens me is the lack of himmah that students have to attend duruus and classes and benefit. And how some students become almost specific who they want to benefit from and who they don't want to benefit from. When there's opportunities, I see so many mashayikh and classes happening within the community that I believe to be so beneficial. but students don't attend. Subhanallah. There's no himma, there's no drive. Many of the books that some of the mashayikh are attending these days, as a student, I wished I had these opportunities. I wished it with all my heart. So the rest of his time was spent in ibadah and remembrance of Allah. His day would begin long before Fajr with Salatul Tahajjud and recitation of the Quran. And he would do that in Masjid Surur. The masjid where he served from was called Masjid Surur. Habib Umar named my house Daru Surur. I was in Garlandale, Habib Umar named it Daru Surur. So he was in Masjid Surur. He was fully focused on his Lord. And this would raise the spiritual aspiration of those around him. Now, therefore, when you keep the company of some of the Habaib, you feel inspired because they are connected. You keep the company of someone who's connected, you enter the company and you leave the company different. It's not the same. Ajib. So consistent was he in spending the time between Maghrib and Isha in worship that he said that if doing so had been compulsory, his worship would not have increased in any way. He had a strong bond with the book of Allah, the Kalam of Allah. When he spoke, he often quoted the verses of the Quran. Not often, he quoted copiously verses of the Quran. He said, I have no worries and no anxiety. I have the Quran and Imam Haddad's book. That's beautiful. How can I have worry and anxiety? Ajib. He slept a little, he ate a little. When his wife passed on, he chose not to marry and lived a single life for many years. What's remarkable about him is he kept his son Habib Muhammad very close to him. He wouldn't travel because he didn't want to part sides from his son, Habib Muhammad. That's remarkable. His father wasn't there at all in his life. His father lived in Indonesia. And he again had a tight bond with his son such that he would never leave his son. Ajib. He was also very connected to Tarim. He was so attached to Tarim and feared that he might die outside of Tarim that he wouldn't even attend the visit to Nabi Hun, which is very, very rare to find within the Habaib because they have placed great importance on the visit to Nabi Hun. He only did so twice or thrice in his youth. He never once rode a horse or a car in the city of Tarim. Sometimes he would be on the outskirts, people would offer him a lift, he wouldn't take a lift. So they would drive past him and he would be walking on the road. But those driving past him, when they would reach the venue that they were going to, they would find that Habib Alawi was already there before them. They would pass him walking along the road and then find that he reached his destination before them. One dars we can take on Habib Alawi today is to walk. When last did you walk? The furthest Mahmoud walked is from his home to the masjid. When he spoke about the great Alawi Imams, he became satiated. He said that he could go without eating for days if he just speaks about them. Subhanallah. His words were recorded, his sayings and expressions. One of his most senior students was Habib Umar's father, Habib Muhammad bin Sani bin Hafid. And all his sayings that Habib Muhammad recorded, that on such and such a day, Habib Alawi said A, B, C. He said this on tasawwuf, he said this about zakah, he said this on salah, he said maqalat, they call it. Habib Muhammad recorded so much sayings of him that it totaled to 7 volumes. Imagine. This reminds me of that Shaykh Umar Abu Bakr Khatib in Dar Mustafa. There's a scholar in Tarim, Shaykh Umar Abu Bakr Khatib, who was a Qari. He has Mujaz in the Qiraat Ashra. and he's a faqih, and he's the khatib of the Jami of Tarim, and he's like brilliant. If you sit next to him in a dars, you'll think that, like, one brother was in Tarim, and so what you tend to do is, out of eagerness, you vie and compete with others. So you say, that guy sitting in the front, I can also sit in the front. But those guys sitting in front, many a times you're competing with him, but they're actually great senior ulama. Many of them would be on the level of Sayyid Ahmad al-Kaf's teachers or seniors. And you're competing, sometimes pushing them out of the way to sit there. Because I have a big turban on and they maybe don't have so big turban. Right? But I guess Shaykh Umar Abu Bakr Khatib was unbelievable. He attends every class of Habib Umar. And in every class he's writing. I looked at what he's writing. He's taking down notes, but I wonder, perhaps one day you're going to see that Shaykh Umar Abu Bakr produced a 7-volume book on the sayings of Habib Umar. He just writes. Ajib, subhanallah. He's such an established scholar, yet he doesn't miss a class. Even if, I'm sure that if Habib Umar must start a dars on the Risala Jamia tomorrow, he's going to be in the front of taking notes. Whereas if one of you must hear that Sheikh so-and-so was starting a dars on Risala Jamia, you say, I covered that many times. I teach the book. Why must I go sit in the dars? Ajib. He said of his son that my son Muhammad's spiritual state is greater than my state. Habib Alawi could not bear to part from his son and would hardly allow him to leave his side. His son, Habib Muhammad, his son, he didn't allow his son to perform Hajj while he was alive. He told his son, when I pass on, you'll perform Hajj. And he passed on and his son went to go and perform the Hajj. So much he loved him. He was unhappy when the newspapers were printed and distributed in Tarim. He said, why are you wasting your time reading newspapers when you could spend that time reading the Kalam of Allah? He used to say, you listen to radio, which inform you of things which make you despair, whereas I have my own radio which never changes. His presence was such that the people of Tarim in general, they would refrain from sinning just knowing that Habib Alawi lives among us. Can you imagine? People living in Tarim, they said, I can't disobey Allah, Habib Alawi is still alive among us. Subhanallah. And he was one of those. What's the time? What time does the period end? Huh? What time does it end? And break ends 11 o'clock.
I need to use the bathroom, but our bathroom locked.
The Uncle Muhammad, Shaykh Muhammad's gonna open it for you. I think it's on my desk somewhere. Ajib. May Allah bless us. Habib Alawi. I said his son Habib Muhammad or Habib Umar Shaykh. His son Habib Muhammad bin Alawi had a son Abdullah. That son of his, Abdullah, the grandson of Habib Alawi, became known as the Eye of Tarim. Ayn of Tarim. Or you could also translate it as the Spring of Tarim. Now, Alhamdulillah, his grandson, Habib Abdullah bin Muhammad bin Alawi bin Shahab, I visited in his home on more than one occasion. He was a senior Habib, very humble, very down to earth, loved by the people of Tarim. Habib Umar loved him because he was like an elder brother to Habib Umar. If his father was Habib Umar's spiritual father, then he was the elder brother. We used to come to Habib, he was an old man, he used to have a room upstairs, we used to receive guests. And you used to be sitting, making dhikr, adhkar, and so forth and so on. And guests would come to visit. So for him to come downstairs to open the door for you was too much of an effort and time waste. So we used to sit upstairs, like just picture, here's a window and there's a door downstairs. He had a rope that he had here next to him that ran all the way to his door downstairs. Whenever he pulled on the rope, the door opened. So if you come, so he looks out, his visitors, he says, come upstairs, he pulls the rope, the door open. Ajib. These men, those of them who have left and those of them that still remains with us, they are the barakah in this world today. These biographies that we are reading and the offspring that they left with us in terms of the actual offspring in terms of the lineage, their children and grandchildren, or the students that they left behind with us, they are a source of barakah for all of humanity today. They are people that they have no aspirations for anything of this dunya. We are familiar with those who are known among them. We are familiar with our Shaykh Sayyid al-Habib Umar, and we are familiar with Habib Ali al-Jifri, and we are familiar with Habib Muhammad bin Abdurragmaan Saqaf and the late Habib Bakr Mashhur. Some of them were instructed within the batin to become known. The rest of them don't want to be known and haven't received instruction to become known. Some of them, even if they had received, they don't want to be known. And many of them you'll find travel to Tarim, you'll find many habaib of great salihin awliya hidden. You will see him in the masjid and you will think that this is just some ordinary person like you are. The one scholar I mentioned, I don't want to mention his name again now, he lives a very basic life. He's a great alim, great faqih, great everything, lives a very basic life, wears very simple clothing. We tried to channel some sadaqah to him on one occasion, a hadiyah. So one of the brothers gave it to him and they asked, send it to him. So he said, what's this for? He said, no, Shaykh, it just looks like you live a very difficult life, you want to make things easy. So he said that, what made you think I want to live any other life? What made you think I want to live any other life? The life I'm living is the life I want to live. Many of them survive off $100 a month. $100, they buy food, they take care of their family, they have 4 or 5 children. That's 2,000 rand. They are happy and they are content. When you offer them something, they say, what makes you think I want to live a different life? أولئك آبائي فجئني بمثلهم. What amazing people. May Allah allow us to benefit from their secrets and from their anwar and from their lights. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I took so much of your break. I'll ask the teachers if you can get an additional 5 minutes. Except Sayyid Ahmed. I'll ask all the teachers we say Sayyid Ahmed if you can come 5 minutes late to club. No. ربنا انفعنا بما علمتنا رب علمنا الذي ينفعنا رب فقهنا
وقرابة لنا في ديننا مع أهل القطر أنثى وذكر ربي وفقنا ووفقهم لما ترتضي قولا وفعلا كرما وارزق الكل حلالا دائما وأخل أتقياء علما نحظى بالخير ونكفى كل شر ربنا واصلح لنا كل الشؤون وأقر بالرضا منك العيون واقضي عنا ربنا كل الديون قبل أن تأتينا رسل المنون واغفر استر أنت أكرم من ستر وصلاة الله تغشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا والوفاء بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء وعلى الآل الكرام الشرفاء وعلى الصحب المصابيح الغرر اللهم اهدنا بهداك واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك ولا تولينا وليا سواك ولا تجعلنا ممن خالف أمرك وعصاك وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم يا ربنا اعترفنا بأننا اقترفنا وأننا أسرفنا على لظى أشرفنا فتب علينا توبة تغسل كل حوبة واستر لنا العورات وآمن الروعات واغفر لوالدينا ربي ومولودينا والأهل والإخوان وسائر الخلان وكل ذي محبة أو جيرات أو صحبة والمسلمين أجمع آمين ربي اسمع فضلا وجودا منا لا باكتساب منا بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول صلى وسلم ربي عليه عد الحب وآله وصحبه عداد طش الصحب والحمد للإله في البدء والتناهي سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين في كل لحظة أبدا عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزينة عرشه ومداد كلماته.
There was one thing I forgot to share from Habib Alawi. And this is for people like on Friday after the Mawlud, I saw Shaykh Shafi and Hamza and Ismail Sange all at Wembley. Habib Alawi, when he attended the Mawlud would be such an experience for him. It would make him satiated such that he wouldn't need to eat for days. Some people leave the Mawlud, they're hungry. Allah allow us to take full benefit from gatherings of knowledge and gatherings of ilm and the gatherings of the Mawlid.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه. الفاتحة. بسم الله. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين. الحمد